Sahara, from Arabic Sahara, desert, largest desert in the world. Filling nearly all of northern Africa, it measures approximately 3,000 miles, 4,800 kilometers, from east to west and between 800 and 1,200 miles from north to south, and has a total area of some 3,320,000 square miles, 8,600,000 square km. The actual area varies as the desert expands and contracts over time. The Sahara is bordered in the west by the Atlantic Ocean, in the north by the Atlas Mountains and Mediterranean Sea, in the east by the Red Sea, and in the south by the Sahel, a semi-arid region that forms a transitional zone between the Sahara to the north and the belt of humid savannas to the south. Physical features. Physiography. The principal topographical features of the Sahara include shallow, seasonally inundated basins, chotts and dayas, and large oasis depressions. Extensive gravel-covered plains, serriers or regs. Rock-strewn plateaus, hamadas. Abrupt mountains. And sand sheets, dunes, and sand seas, ergs. The highest point in the desert is the 11,204-foot, 3,415-meter, summit of Mount Kusi in the Tibesti Mountains in Chad. The lowest, 436 feet, 133 meters, below sea level, is in the Qattara Depression of Egypt. The Sahara. The name Sahara derives from the Arabic noun Sahara, meaning desert, and its plural, Sahara. It is also related to the adjective asher, meaning desert-like and carrying a strong connotation of the reddish color of the vegetationless plains. There are also indigenous names for particular areas such as the Tanazroofed region of southwestern Algeria and the Tianere region of central Niger, which are often of Berber origin. The Sahara sits atop the African Shield, which is composed of heavily folded and denuded Precambrian rocks. Because of the stability of the shield, subsequently deposited Paleozoic formations have remained horizontal and relatively unaltered. Over much of the Sahara, these formations were covered by Mesozoic deposits including the limestones of Algeria, southern Tunisia, and northern Libya, and the Nubian sandstones of the Libyan desert, and many of the important regional aquifers are identified with them. In the northern Sahara, these formations are also associated with a series of basins and depressions extending from the oases of western Egypt to the chotts of Algeria. In the southern Sahara, downwarping of the African Shield created large basins occupied by Cenozoic lakes and seas, such as the ancient Mega Chad. The serriers and regs differ in character in various regions of the desert but are believed to represent Cenozoic depositional surfaces. A prominent feature of the plains is the dark patina of ferromanganese compounds, called desert varnish, that forms on the surfaces of weathered rocks. The plateaus of the Sahara, such as the Tatamade Plateau of Algeria, are typically covered with angular, weathered rock. In the central Sahara, the monotony of the plains and plateaus is broken by prominent volcanic massifs including Mount Awanet and the Tibesti and Ahagar Mountains. Other noteworthy formations include the Enedi Plateau of Chad, the Air Massif of Niger, the Iforas Massif of Mali, and the outcroppings of the Mauritanian Adrar region. Geography of Africa. Sand sheets and dunes cover approximately 25% of the Sahara's surface. Denevia to represent Cenozoic Depositonii surfaces. A prominent feature of the plains is the dark patina of ferromanganese compounds, called desert varnish, that forms on the surfaces of weathered rocks. The plateaus of the Sahara, such as the Tatamade Plateau of Algeria, are typically covered with angular, weathered rock. In the central Sahara, the monotony of the plains and plateaus is broken by prominent volcanic massifs including Mount Awanet and the Tibesti and Ahagar Mountains. Other noteworthy formations include the Enedi Plateau of Chad, the Air Massif of Niger, the Iforas Massif of Mali, and the outcroppings of the Mauritanian Adrar region. Sahara's surface. The principal types of dunes include tide dunes, which form in the lee of hills or other obstacles. Parabolic blowout dunes. Crescent-shaped barchans and transverse dunes. Longitudinal safes. And the massive, complex forms associated with sand seas. Several pyramidal dunes in the Sahara attain heights of nearly 500 feet, while draw, the mountainous sand ridges that dominate the ergs, are said to reach 1,000 feet. An unusual phenomenon associated with desert sands is their singing, or booming. Various hypotheses have been advanced to explain the phenomenon, such as those based upon the piezoelectric property of crystalline quartz, but the mystery remains unsolved. Drainage of the Sahara. Several rivers originating outside the Sahara contribute to both the surface water and groundwater regimes of the desert and receive the discharge of its drainage networks. Rivers rising in the tropical highlands to the south are particularly prominent. The main tributaries of the Nile join in the Sahara, and the river flows northward along the desert's eastern margin to the Mediterranean. Several rivers discharge into Lake Chad in the southern Sahara, and a significant quantity of water continues northeastward and contributes to the recharge of regional aquifers. And the Niger rises in the Fouta Djallon region of Guinea and flows through the southwestern Sahara before turning southward to the sea. Streams and wadis, ephemeral streams flowing from the Atlas Mountains and coastal highlands of Libya, Tunisia, Algeria, and Morocco contribute additional water. Prominent among these are the Sora and Dra. Many of the smaller wadis discharge into the chats of the northern Sahara. Within the desert itself, there are extensive networks of wadis. Some are seasonally active remnants of systems formed during more humid periods in the past. Some, however, have been shaped by the sudden discharge of historically documented storms, such as the flood that destroyed Tamanrasset, Algeria, in 1922. Particularly significant are the complex network of wadis, lakes, and pools associated with the Tibesti Mountains and those associated with the Tassili N'Ajjer region and the Ahagar Mountains, such as Wadi Tamanrasset. The sand dunes of the Sahara store considerable quantities of rainwater, and seeps and springs issue from various escarpments in the desert. Soils. The soils of the Sahara are low in organic matter, exhibit only slightly differentiated horizons, strata, and are often biologically inactive, although nitrogen-fixing bacteria are present in some areas. The soils in depressions are frequently saline. At the margins of the desert are soils containing greater concentrations of organic matter. Weatherable minerals are a prominent constituent of these soils, and chemically active expanding lattice clays are common. Free carbonates are often present, indicating that little leaching has occurred. Compact and indurated layers, or crusts, are largely restricted to the northwestern section of the desert in association with calcareous bedrock. Fine materials, including deposits of diatomaceous earth, are limited to basins and depressions.